The final season of Attack on Titan is finally airing, so I thought it could be useful to break down each episode. I plan on doing this every week, so if this kind of content interests you, be sure to subscribe. Anyway, let's get into it. This episode covers events that happened in chapters 115, 117, and a little bit of 118 as well. We start the episode with Hange, Flock, and a few other yeagerists finding Levi's body. After the incident with the Thunder Spear, he appears to be in pretty bad shape. Even after this episode, it is unclear whether or not he is still alive. But based on Hanji's reaction and her unwillingness to let Flock take a pulse, she seems to think he is. Shortly after, Zeke emerges from the Titan that did this to him last season. He briefly talks to Flock, who shows him a surprising amount of respect, especially when we consider how Flock has treated pretty much every other character in the series. Well, except the person he has a crush on. After this, Zeke talks about the girl he saw molding his body out of clay. He believes this happens in the Path, which is another plane of existence that only Eldians seem to have access to. The only character that we've seen appear in the Paths is Ymir. The girl that Zeke mentions is the same girl that we see at the end of episode 73. And we can also see that pretty much everything that was blown up by the Thunder Spear is built out of clay. They depart for Shiganshina, and we get the opening, which is a topic for another day. Conflict is unfolding in Shiganshina. Marley has invaded with the goal of defeating and capturing the founding Titan. In the time since the raid on Liberio, Marley has made two major military advancements. The first being air control in the form of these machine guns mounted on their airships, which is a very useful weapon when it comes to killing yeagerists. The other major advancement is anti-Titan weaponry that has been adapted for the Cart Titan. This advancement was probably just stolen from the Mid-Eastern allies. While Magath is talking to Gabby and Colt, Pieck puts on the new anti-Titan gear in the background. This sequence is anime original as it was not in the manga. This is about the time when Marley finally figures out that Zeke has royal blood. I honestly don't know how they couldn't have suspected this earlier. Like, they've had over 100 years of shifters, and Zeke is the first one to have the ability to control Titans, and they just decide not to look into it more. Now that is Marleyan incompetence at its finest. In this scene, we also get a closer look at Magath's character, and we get to see that he definitely does care about the Eldians in the warrior unit. Other Eldians, probably not so much. Onyankopon is very impressed that Marley was able to reconstruct so quickly after the raid on Liberio. This is most likely only possible because they rally behind the death of Willie Tiber, and as a direct consequence to the killing of civilians in Liberio. Simultaneously, Reiner, Eren, and Porco are fighting. When it's just one-on-one, Reiner definitely gets clapped by Eren, again. And it looks like they're actually fighting in the same part of Shiganshina that they fought in during Season 3. Eren seems to be holding his own against both Titans, until he is forced to use the Warhammer Titan's power, which gives Pieck and Magath the opportunity to use the anti-Titan artillery on him, causing him to lose control of his Titan temporarily. This is when Yelana decides to dispatch additional yeagerists, who kind of get clapped by Marley's military. Not gonna lie, this was pretty pathetic. At this point in the battle, Marley is undoubtedly winning the war for paradise. Meanwhile, Onyankopon has freed the scouts and Sasha's family from their jail cell. This next scene serves three major purposes. The first one is presented by Connie, who is extremely emotional about constantly being betrayed. This is a feeling that is undoubtedly shared by Jean, Mikasa, and Armin, as they've all been betrayed time and time again. The purpose of Connie's outlashing is to display to the watchers what exactly is going through the scouts' heads at this point in time. The second purpose is to clarify the relationship between Yelana and the rest of the volunteers. Before this scene, it is heavily implied that most of the volunteers wouldn't support the euthanasia plan. This is expressed by Onyankopon, as his ideology does not align with the ideology of the euthanasia plan. Obviously, we don't know if the rest of the volunteers have the same ideology as him, but Onyankopon does not seem like the type of person who would work with people just because they share a hatred for Marley. He fully believed that his interests directly aligned with the interests of Yelana and the rest of the volunteers. The last purpose of this scene is to inform or reassure the audience that Eren wouldn't go through with the euthanasia plan. This is something a lot of people already speculated, as Eren has always fought for the freedom of Eldians, but it's basically confirmed by Armin in this scene. We also see in this scene that Mikasa is still conflicted over what Eren had said to her, but she's not sure if it's her own will or the will of her Ackerman bond. The last part of the episode is a montage showing the brutality of this war, including this scene which really showcases the desperation and brutality both sides have. While the montage is occurring, we can hear Eren's scream acting as an air raid siren. This whole last sequence is anime original, And that's pretty much everything. Like I said, there wasn't that much dialogue to break down in this episode, so I tried to keep it short and sweet. I hope you enjoyed, and don't forget to subscribe. It really helps me out, and if you made it all the way to the end of this video, I guarantee you'll like the rest of my content. Anyway, thanks again, and I'll see you Friday.